Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today we're continuing to look at the last delivery that I received from Cult Pens. Today I've got a pen for you. It's in this tube here. This is a Retro 51 pen and this is a Tornado Lincoln. Really excited to try this because I've never had a Retro 51 pen before. What's interesting with this, I've also got it with a 1.1 stub, so I'm starting to get into those stub nibs. Be interesting to see how I get on with this. So join me now down on the mat, we'll take a look at the pen, we'll do some size comparisons, a writing sample, and then I'll give you my first impressions. Welcome down to the mat. Here we've got the Retro 51 box. I've already taken the plastic wrapper off just to make it a little bit easier. Just do a quick turnaround of this. So Retro 51 here. Life is too short to carry an ugly pen. That's true, isn't it? So if we go around, we've got fine writing, we've got all sorts of symbols on there. When I was looking at this is one of the things I thought was quite interesting. Beware of AI. The top, we've got here that it's a Retro 51 Tornado fountain pen. It's the Lincoln version and it's a 1.1 stub. At the bottom, we've got Retro 51 and again, life is too short to carry an ugly pen. Then we've got their website details and made by our friends in Taiwan. Let's take a look at what's inside. So we'll ease the top off. I'll turn it around. There we go. I'll ease this top off. It pops. Nice popping sound there. And that reveals the pen. And we've got a converter. I like it when pens come with converters. Inside the tube, we've got this little leaflet. You just slowly open that. I'll go and have a read through this later on. Okay, the base. Now we've got the pen. That's nice in that base. That's a foam base, so it could be used as a desk stand for a pen. I think that's a good idea. Makes it multi-use, doesn't it? Let me just ease the pen out. Here it comes. Oh, that's quite a tight fit in there. Move the converter out of the way. And let's take it out of the plastic wrapping. There we have the Retro 51 Lincoln. This is Antique Copper is the name of the material. Just going to move this so it's slightly more centre in the camera. There we go. That's a little bit better, isn't it? I like the look of this. It looks quite different. It's certainly unusual compared to a lot of the pens I currently have. This is the first one where it's an obvious metal finish. We'll take a look around the body there. Up at the top here, we've got a silver disc and then that's surrounded by the copper material. I like this at the top of the pen. It makes it look slightly different. We've got a hatched effect and then it comes out to the top of the pen. Now there are some words there. So we've got Tornado and by Retro 1951. Pop that back. So then we have the clip. The clip is a band, and by the look of it, I don't actually think the clip's attached to that band. That band looks like it might be the top of the finial. Slight cutout in the middle, so unusual, different to a lot of my pens which have solid clips. I'm struggling to get my finger underneath it to see how springy it is. I've got to be honest, I don't really use the clips. They're more there as a roll guard rather than actually to be putting in my pockets. But it's nice to have it, and certainly when I use it in my Galen leather folio, that'll come in useful to hold it in place. The cap, to my eye, it's the same width all the way down. There might be a slight taper. It's hard really for me to tell at the moment, but it certainly looks the same width at the moment. Bottom of the cap, there's no writing there. It looks like it's a two-piece cap. So we look like this bottom part is slightly different. It drops off then It's not a big drop off, it's fairly nice down to the body. The body, again, it's in this brushed copper type colour. It goes all the way down, it's staying straight until about maybe 2/3 of the way, maybe even 3/4. Then we start to taper in and we've got a copper coloured disc at the bottom. I like this antique copper. It looks really nice. I mean, there's a lot of interest already in there. Looks like it's brushed, so there's some patterning in there. At the moment, this is still very shiny. It's very pinky. I'm hoping that as I use this, as the pen ages, that what will happen is that copper, it'll start to tarnish and it'll take on more of a pattern, a bit more character. I love character in a pen. Going to take the cap off. So let's see, it goes, there's heart, 1, there's 2, just under 2 turns to take the cap off. That reveals a black plastic section, which is slightly concave, and then we've got the Retro 51 nib. Let's take a closer look at the nib. So the nib, it's all one colour, it's all silver coloured. We can see there, it's definitely that 1.1. We come down, we've got a nice decorative border. We've got the breather hole, we've got 51, and then down near the bottom, we've got 1.1. So fairly interesting nib, nothing really to write home about it. On the back, we've got the plastic feed, and as I say, that goes into the plastic section. In my hand, that's nice and comfy already. The section might be a little bit on the thin side, but that's something I'll have to play around with and experiment as I'm using the pen. If we unscrew the section from the body, that's very, very tight. I'm struggling to get it to move. There it goes. This does seem quite tightly put together. Oh, it squeaks well. In there, we've got not 1, but 2 cartridges. I don't use them, so they're going to be put to one side. And that's it. So let's pop this back together. It does seem to be quite a tight fit, which is nice. And although it's hard to see, that seems to be plastic, and can't see there, we've got metal there with the threads. Ooh, squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. Let's pop the pen back together. There we go. Let's just leave that there for a second. As said, it does come with a converter. That's here. Let's just open it up. There we go. Fairly standard converter there. And it's got a little plastic ball inside to agitate the ink. The mechanism seems to be quite smooth. Let's look at some size comparisons. So the first 2 pens that I brought in, Pilot Metropolitan, Lamy Safari. These are my standard test pens that I use, so that I'm using the same pens for my size comparisons in virtually all my videos. They all look very similar in terms of size there, don't they? I'll take the caps off. So with the caps off, again, in terms of size, very, very similar. The nib's definitely different. We've got the number 6 size nib here on the Retro 51. The other 2, we've got the Lamy nib, and we've got that Pilot number 5 nib. I'll post these pens now. With the pens posted, well, we've got a nice order here, haven't we? We've got the Metropolitan, which is the shortest. In the middle, we have the Retro 51, and then our longest one is the Lamy Safari. Although I'm posting it here for comparison, I'm not sure I would actually post it when I'm using it. Because I'd be worried about stretching that metal, because it's metal on metal, I don't think I'll post it that often. Going to swap these pens out, and I'm going to fetch in some pens that are in roughly the same price range. So the pens I brought in, I've got a Narwhal Schuylkill. That cost me 89 Australian dollars. We've got the Retro 51. That cost me 105 Australian dollars. And an Opus 88 Coloro, which was 120 Australian dollars. So the Retro 51 sitting halfway between the two. In terms of where they're made, the Opus 88, that's a Taiwanese pen. The Retro 51, that's an American pen, but made in Taiwan. The Narwhal Schuylkill, again, it's an American pen, but it's made in China. Let's take a look at these unposted. Unposted, the Narwhal here it looks like it's ever so slightly longer than the Retro 51. Now one thing I am noticing, if you look at the nibs, the Retro 51, it looks ever so slightly longer than the other two. Let's pop the caps on these. With the caps on, the Retro 51 Tornado, that looks like it's a lot smaller. It looks like it's a lot thinner. I'm now going to step away from the desk. I'm going to give the pen a clean out. When I come back, we'll look at the ink, we'll fill the pen, do a writing sample, then I'll give you my first impressions. Okay, I'm back. So I've given the pen a clean out. The ink I'm going to use for this pen, I thought, well, it's a coppery pen. Let's use a coppery ink. So I decided to go for Diamine Vintage Copper. This was part of the 2021 Ink Vent calendar. In here, we've got a nice shimmer there. We can see it hopefully coming on the camera. So that's got like a goldy, coppery type shimmer to it. Then we've got this nice, again, what I would say like a warm copper tones in the back. The bottle, it's only small because it was in that Ink Vent calendar. As we can see there, we've got all that shimmer there. So I'm just going to give the bottle a good shake and get it all mixed up. So that's now well mixed. I'll fetch in my ink file holder. This is Mr. Crocodile today. Let's take the cap off and get into the converter. When I was cleaning this, one of the things I did notice, this converter, it doesn't feel like it's a very good fit there. So that's something I'm going to have to keep an eye on. But it is in, but it feels very, very loose. That's all ready to go. Even whilst I was just doing that little bit of torque, we had some of that shimmer settle. So give it another good shake. Make sure this is well and truly agitated. Let's pop that in. Pop that down. In goes the pen. Hopefully deep enough. And then we'll fetch up that ink. Yeah, we've got a nice fill there. Let me pop the pen back together. I'll get this ink out of the way and fetch in my notebook of testing. Here's my notebook of testing. This is using Oxford Optic paper and it's a black and red A5 notebook. Let's do some writing. So we have here, oh, just turning that over. Look at that nice copper there that we're seeing on the feed. So we've got here a Retro 51 Tornado Lincoln with a 1.1 stub nib. As said, cost wise, $105. The ink, Diamine Vintage Copper. Seeing some nice line variation already coming out in here. Drying times, immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Still fairly wet. I'm going to go for a 2-minute test. 2 minutes is up and we're still getting a slight smudge. So as a combo, fairly wet. I'm going to move the mic down to the page so you can hear the pen writing. I actually don't mind that, it's quite nice. There's a bit of scratchiness to it and it feels as if maybe the edges of the nib I'm actually scratching and catching on the page. That's something I'll have to play around with on some different papers. Let's take a look at line variation. So there's no pressure. Going to add a bit of pressure. So yeah, we are getting slightly wider. Then again, no pressure, and this time with the horizontal. So we can see the difference. The down line's definitely a lot thinner than the across lines. And hopefully you can see that coming out in the writing. It's adding character to the writing. Let's just do some of my S's. Again, you can see there where it's going down. We've got that slightly wider line. And then my scribble test. That keeps up nicely. One of the things that I did find when I was doing my wetness tests, obviously I was trying to agitate the pen and it sounded like it was rattling inside. So what I did is I opened it up and the converter had come off the section. So that's something I'm going to have to watch out for. I'm going to try it again because it is rattling again a bit. It's just about in there. So this is something I'm going to have to look at because I can't have that section, I can't have that converter coming out when I'm in the middle of a meeting. Maybe what I need is to empty out one of these and try filling that with a syringe and then using one of them. I don't know. It's something that I'm going to have to keep an eye on. If we look at the writing, we can see this gorgeous shimmer coming through. You know, certainly there on that first line. Then when we get to our writing, we can see a bit more there. I do try and agitate the pen as I'm using it, just to make sure that that shimmer is well mixed. Not seeing much in the way of shading in the ink. It's only really the shimmer that's in there. Very wet combination. I like that. I like my wetter inks because I think, I don't know, maybe it's just my mind, but I think they look nicer. Like the line, I like the character that I'm getting. This is me. I'm really experimenting here with the 1.1 stubs. I've got a couple of them now. And maybe a future video I'll do a comparison of stubs just to see what they're like from different manufacturers. But so far in this few minutes, I love the metal. I love the material. Really enjoy it. Quite like the nib. Bit scratchy, so I may need to try and smooth the edges, but I need to use the pen more first just to see if it's something that will work off over time. Concerned about the converter because it doesn't seem to be a very good fit. Again, something I'm going to have to watch out for. And I may try a different converter. I've got loads of pens with converters, so I might try one of those just to see if that locks in better. Because, as I say, I'm just worried. I mean, yes, I know the pen's sealed, but the last thing you want is the converter coming out, dumping its ink into the barrel, and then when you come to try and explore it, you end up with ink all over the table. Might not happen, but it could do. So it's my first impressions of the Retro 51 Tornado Lincoln. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on the Retro 51 brand? Have you got any of their fountain pens? I know there's loads of different rollerballs around there as well. Now, I'm not into rollerballs, but is it something be worth trying? I'd love to get your comments down below. Please hit the thumbs up button every time you like, every time you comment. Well, just helps to surface my content for other people. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.